without further ado, I will pass it off to Dr. Curci, who I'm sure has an exciting next hour in store for us.
Thanks, Derek. We are really excited to have you all here. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share about the work that we're doing in the College of Education and Human Development with the larger community. Dr. Johnson and I are thrilled because we're actually joined by our students. We want to center student voices and make sure that they are heard in the work that we're doing and that they're constantly part of the feedback. And we have all of the opportunity to hear about students' experiences, not only within our Temple Education Scholars Program, but as they matriculate into college and understand what are their needs, where does the support come from, what's their experience during COVID been like. So with that, I will ask Dr. Johnson to get us started.
Great, thank you so much. Just with any kind of digital presentation, we want to start with giving kind of high-level overview what to expect tonight. Again, we do want to center the voices of our student panelists, so most of our time will be focused there, but we will give a little bit of information around some of the context that shapes the work that we're doing in the college, as well as some of the early outcomes of our TES program as it stands now. We also encourage you to continue to use the chat feature and the reaction buttons to kind of continue the engagement. Whether or not you're able to keep your camera on, use those thumbs up buttons, that surprised face, that whatever emojis that kind of are resonating with you in the moment, because this is a community that we're trying to build. And if you haven't already, we do also ask for you to go ahead in the chat and put in your name, your hometown, your affiliation with the College of Education and Human Development, and then also what brought you in to spend your hour with us today. We hope to kind of fold some of that in as well as we engage in the conversation. Derek did such an amazing job with introductions. I think we can kind of go right in. So again, I'm Jennifer Johnson, an assistant professor in our higher education program, and just super excited to be able to share this space with my co-facilitator, as well as our student panelists. And so I'll transition back to Juliet to allow for further introductions and introductions of our student panelists.
Thanks, Jennifer. So as Derek mentioned, I'm Assistant Dean of College Access and Persistence for the College of Education and Human Development. And there are a number of different programs and initiatives that fall under that bucket of work. And before we end tonight, I'll drop in the chat a kind of a one-page overview of what those programs are and how you can reach out to learn more about them and get involved with our work and help support what we're doing. But now we're going to really get into our program, and I'm going to introduce briefly our fantastic students who are joining us. So these are students who have all participated in the Temple Education Scholars Program as high school students. They are actually now matriculated college students, and they're coming back to talk with us and share their thoughts, feedback, and insights. So we have Messiah German. She's from our first TES cohort from 2018-2019. She attended Roxborough High School, was a graduate of the class of 2019. She's currently at Temple University, and she's a criminal justice major. Messiah, can you say hi?
Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet you.
Next, we have Angelica Riley. TES cohort 1. I'm sorry, it's Angelica Rodriguez. TES cohort 1 from 2018-2019. She is a graduate of the Arts Academy at Benjamin Rush, also the class of 2019. She's currently at Westchester University, majoring in psychology. Angelina, please say hi.
Hi, nice to meet everybody.
Next, we have Deja Kennedy. Deja is from our second TES cohort, class of 2020 from Carver High School of Engineering and Science. She's currently at Westchester University, majoring in early childhood and special education. Deja.
Hi.
And next we have Tommy Pham. Tommy's been coming in and out based on his access from campus. Tommy just finished TES this past year. He's from our third cohort of the program. He attended Northeast High School and is currently a secondary ed math major at Temple with the College of Ed and Human Development. Tommy, can you say hi?
Hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi. There you are. We see you.
Okay, hi.
Thanks. So these are the students who will be returning to answer some questions that Dr. Johnson and I will pose to them, and then also be able to answer some of your questions once we give you some overview information about our topic tonight.
So before we, again, really focus in on the current kind of feature on our Temple Education Scholars Program, want to just kind of, set the context for everyone. Excited to see so many folks with so many different interests and affiliations with the college. So wanted to have an opportunity to kind of set the stage in terms of where we are and how we got here. So in terms of thinking about trends in post-secondary enrollment, a couple of things are important to consider. So this data comes from the National Center of Education Statistics, the most recent data in terms of looking at our last 10 years of immediate college enrollment for high school completers. And by October of the year following degree completion, as you can see, approximately 66% of students were enrolled for fall 2019 in an institution of higher education, with approximately 44% at a four-year institution and 22% at a two-year institution. These trends have been fairly consistent over the course of this decade as listed here, which is a testament to some of the efforts that were done overall in terms of messaging around college opportunity and next steps. So with many institutions really advocating for access and talking about the importance of access, we still are pretty steady in terms of how that message around access leads to opportunities. While this kind of shows the trend has been very steady, it's also important to look at how these trends map across different demographics. So also from the same data set, here we have the data broken down by race and ethnicity. And as you can see, there are some differences in terms of the immediate college enrollment rate of students by race and ethnicity. And these data are replicating trends that we know to be true, some trends that really are responsible for some of the types of initiatives that different institutions have put forth to try to make sure that holding all other kind of factors steady, that race and ethnicity is not the determining factor of who enrolls in post-secondary education. So just to kind of set the stage there and thinking about these trends, what is important to note, again, this is data that kind of ends right before COVID-19, and patterns of enrollment have certainly been in flux since COVID-19. But just if I can draw your attention to the fall 2019 trends, while there are no measurable differences in enrollment rate for Asian, white, and Hispanic students between 2010 and 2019, there was a measurable difference in enrollment and a statistically significant difference in enrollment for Black students fall of 2019 compared to fall of 2010. So as someone who has focused their career on college access and success, these are the same kinds of trends that were brought to my attention in the early 2000s. And so with that, it's important to really think about how the conversation around access and success has shifted over that time. Initially, the emphasis was on trying to understand from the kind of student perspective, what do our students need to do or know in order to be eligible to transition to two-year institutions? And usually that was a focus on looking on a couple of things, but really centered around this notion of academic readiness. So we were looking at the rigor of the curriculum on the high school levels. We were looking at the opportunities for students to take AP or IB advanced honors level courses in high school. We were looking at academic performance, whether it was measured by GPA or standardized test scores. And so we really were focused on these kind of academic indicators of readiness and trying to bolster the students' opportunities to engage in academic experiences that would prepare them for the next step. And that was particularly important as we shifted emphasis on trying to make students competitive for careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So with that emphasis on the academic side, we saw a lot of programs and initiatives really look at those ways of providing either extra support outside of the school or alongside the school setting to allow students to get that sense of what the transition would be like to higher education. But we can't really talk about access and just talk about academic exposure alone. We know that opportunities for engaging in what we would consider rigorous academic experiences is shaped by a number of factors, including access to different kinds of financial resources. And we also know that access is also shaped by the types of interactions that folks have with gatekeepers who may be the deciding factor around whether or not a student can take an honors class or can take an opportunity to be in a dual enrollment program. And so kind of with this context in mind, it's important to think about the ways that motivation, access to resources, thinking about institutional agents as gatekeepers of opportunities, and shift this focus from what students need to have or students need to know or how gritty students are to be able to kind of make it through the pipeline to what institutions of higher educations can do to really make it so that structurally there are not so many hurdles. And so along those lines, we have the Temple Education Scholars Program. And we know that the College of Education and Human Development has long been interested in advocates of success and equity and expanding opportunities for folks from diverse backgrounds. And so there are a number of initiatives that are housed with the college that have those goals in mind. We have our Upward Bound program and Upward Bound Math and Science program. We have other initiatives, including a network of individuals across the university, which we collectively call the College Access Community of Practice, where we've come together to talk through how folks move across different units in our institution. We are this year really amping up and elevating and really creating an exciting synergy around our first generation college students by having some activities to really celebrate the transition of our first generation college students on our campus. But we also have Temple Education Scholars. And so we really want to focus on giving you all an opportunity to learn a little bit more about Temple Education Scholars Program, kind of what it's kind of designed to do, but then also talk to our alumni about their experiences and how that time, that 1 year in our program has translated to where they are now and where they see their futures going.
Thank you, Jennifer. So in order to give you background on Temple Education Scholars, I'll start by saying, so Derek provided the high-level overview. We're a dual enrollment program. So that means that students are enrolled in high school, and they have the opportunity to earn credit that counts towards their high school graduation requirements, their high school transcripts, as well as college transcripts. They're earning college credits by participating in Temple College courses. And when this all began in percolating in about summer of 2017, it was at this point in time that we were exploring how to support the students who were enrolled in our Temple Upward Bound and Upward Bound Math and Science Trio programs, the federally funded college access programs, how to get those students linked to course credit from Temple. And we realized that course credit at Temple, tuition at Temple always has to be paid for by someone. And we're trying to identify and understand the resources that might be available to us and explore what opportunities there were for the School District of Philadelphia in its operating budget. The district had just reintroduced dual enrollment funds in its operating budget after those having been frozen out for many, many years. And when I spoke with our dean, Greg Anderson, about the possibility of partnering with the district, and yet we wouldn't be able to cover all the expenses, he said, show me a model. What do you want to do? What can we do for the young people in Philadelphia to bring them in here? So I talked with colleagues of mine who are school leaders and teachers across the district and asked them what worked and didn't work about dual enrollment. And they gave me lots of feedback. And so it all resulted in us constructing a program in which we have a cohort of high school seniors, students who are interested in the possibility of entering teacher education program, participating in consistent programming with us. So the students in TES spend every afternoon of their school year with us at Temple. They're either taking college courses as a cohort, sometimes with other matriculated college Temple students, or they are engaging in college readiness programming, learning about resources that are on campus, the writing center, the library, the tech center, understanding the wellness center, how to utilize these resources, how to ask for help from professors, how to manage their time. So lots of programming. We're supporting them in their college applications. We're supporting them with their scholarship applications, their FAFSA application, really robust program throughout the year. All of this programming is supported by fantastic faculty and staff of the college. And in addition to our own students, our Temple students who are undergraduates and graduate students, and they serve as tutor mentors and as college success coaches. So there is no chance that any of the students who go through our program are going to fumble in a way that they're not going to have a support system there to help them work on addressing wherever their areas of growth are. And we're going to celebrate successes. And we really have built a community. We've had cohorts numbering from 12 as our first cohort, and we have 16 students participating in a cohort this year. And this year we're actually engaged with Mastery Charter Schools as well. So we have 13 students from the school district and 3 students from Mastery who are part of this year's cohort. So it's really exciting. All of this comes at no cost to the students or their families. Currently, the College of Education partners with the school district and with Mastery around contracts, and then also contributes a significant amount to the running of these programs. TES is situated around 2 very important goals, certainly not mutually exclusive: supporting the college access and persistence of Philadelphia youth and increasing the number of young people, particularly Black and Latinx young people who decide to enter teaching. Initial program impact data, we have a lot of it mentioned on a website that I'll share a link to. Our students do fantastically well in their college Temple courses. I think we have the latest data crunch and approved by our data verification unit as of December 2020, so a little bit before this time last year. So far in the first 3 cohorts of the program, the average GPA of all of our scholars in their Temple coursework was a 3.56. They've done tremendously well. We have persistence data, college matriculation data. We're so proud of the hard work that these students put in. It's such an intense commitment to be at their high schools in their morning, travel via public transit to Temple every afternoon of the school year, for them to be able to invest in themselves and their preparation for college. We've learned a lot from the students. We've engaged in some research to understand what's worked, what's not worked about the program. This research has had really important implications for continuing to help us think about tinkering and redesigning how things work with every new cohort. We have opportunities to collaborate with others. Not only are we collaborating with others across the university in support of our program, but external partners like the Center for Black Educator Development. And we've utilized what we've learned through this program and from our students, and have brought what we've learned in leadership to others across the university about the work that we're doing. So that's the high-level overview of TES, and we really want you to have the opportunity to hear from students in 3 particular areas that we're going to raise: college access, college choice, and college persistence. So once again, I'm going to reintroduce our TES alumni, particularly for those of you who joined us after we had them say hello initially. So we have Tommy, he's from cohort 3, part of TES last year, recent graduate of Northeast High School, and is currently at Temple in secondary ed math. Tommy, is there anything you want to just initially say in terms of a hello?
I'm Tommy, and I'm a freshman at Temple. So last year I was in the program at TES, and I personally think I would not, I kind of imagine without TES support and assistance, And those support and assistance still follow me to the current day. Like I still like take advantage of dosing to college for college and college courses. Thank you.
Thanks, Tommy. Deja, initial thoughts.
Initial thoughts. I think that the program was very helpful for me, especially like as I'm getting more into my major. I can clearly see the difference between what I was able to experience than what somebody that is in the same year as me is doing now. So I think that it was just a very good experience and it was very helpful.
Thanks, Deja. Angelina.
Hi, I'm Angelina. I was in cohort 1, so it's been like a while since I've been in the Temple program. I'm a junior now, so almost there. But the program really helped me with time management and getting into college. I don't think I would have been able to like even know how to apply for college because I'm first generation, none of my family has ever done that. And I don't know, I'm just really thankful for the program and that I had it at the time that I did. So yeah.
Thanks, Angelina. We're so proud of you, like gushingly proud of you and all of our students. Messiah.
Hi everyone, I'm Messiah. T has definitely made a major impact, and it created like a family and a sense of comfortability. And I was so comfortable that I decided to apply for Temple and go to their own campus. But as far as their program, what I liked is that they didn't treat us like an outcast, and even the professors, we got a real workload. So it definitely eased the transition from high school to college.
Thanks, Messiah. All right, so I'm going to pose the first question to our students for them to respond as they'd like. So as a new initiative in partnership with the School District of Philadelphia and additional key stakeholders, we with TES know it's important to increase the visibility of the program so as many people know about the opportunity as possible. Could you please share, how did you learn about TES and how did the program prepare you for college? So you can come off mic and just share. Yeah, Angelina, go ahead.
So I learned from the program from my counselor. Like she came into each English class for my high school to tell us about the programs. It wasn't just the Temple one. We had one for, I think it was Community College of Philadelphia, and then one more about like airplane school, something like that. I don't know. But I'm not into airplanes and I didn't want to go to community college. So I chose Temple, especially because it was like education and I've always had like an interest in education. I'm a psychology major now. I just think it was like the children aspect of it, but she didn't really go into too much detail. So once I heard about the program, I had to go to her to like find out more information, how to apply. And that's how I found out about the program.
Messiah?
Yes, I found out through an email from school, just like campus, Temple gives out emails, my school gave out emails, and I applied. And then my mom had came up to the school, she was like, your daughter got in, and I'm like, got in for what? And the TES program. And I think I already explained this, but it just was like the workload was the same. And I think that's like a major shift. Like high school and college are completely different. And another thing that really helped me was that they prepared me and showed me how to write emails. And emails are so important. You can't just text and call your professor or your classmates. You have to know how to have proper signature and how to address people. And especially with COVID, you can't just go up to your professor. You have to write emails. So that's something that really helped me.
Thanks, Messiah. Tommy or Deja, are you interested in weighing in? Go ahead, Tommy.
Oh yeah. So like same with Angelina. Like my counselor walked into my classroom and she asked like who want to be a teacher. I was just like so that I wanted to be a teacher, so that's the reason why I applied to the program. But more than that, like she told me like I got a chance to get 15 college credits. I was like, what? That's incredible. And it's just like apply to the program right away after I knew the program. the existence of the program?
For me, it was a little bit different because I don't know. I went to a school that was specifically for engineering and science. So they didn't care about education, not in terms of like a major in education. And so for me, I had to do my own research. They had it on the top of the board when they showed us all the programs, but nobody ever like talked about what it was. So like I like had to look into it. I found the website and I was looking into like what the programs were. And then I went to my counselor and asked her if she knew anything. And eventually I got like more information and I decided to apply for it. And like I said earlier, it was really beneficial. The email thing is definitely important. We did learn how to write professional emails, and I don't know what I would do if I didn't know how to write a professional email because it's scary.
Thanks, Deja. I want to make a point about two things. So this program is situated within the School District of Philadelphia's senior year only program. So there's a suite, as Angelina was sharing, there's a suite of programs that the district offers to seniors specifically. And so the district was the portal by which students were applying for this program with TES, and that remains true to this day. So more about that, if you know of students in the School District of Philadelphia that you would want to try to position towards our program, we'd love to know of them so we could follow up personally, but also it's through the SIOP, the district SIOP program, that the students are made aware of the initiative. The other thing that I want to be sure to mention is the significance of the 15 credits. Tommy mentioned, like, he was just blown away by the opportunity. And the significance of the 15 credits is that at Temple, an undergraduate student's full-time load for coursework ranges between 12 and 18 credits, with the majority of students taking an average of 15. So the idea that students would actually be able to accomplish potentially a semester's worth of college credit is really significant in terms of the time that they would spend in college, and therefore the amount of money that they would spend in college. So that was a really intentional part of our program design. Dr. Johnson.
Excellent, excellent. So, you know, the first step is, you know, finding out about TES and getting into the program. And there are several program components that are a part of the experience, but one of the central pieces is really preparing students for the college application process. Key to know about the Temple Education Scholars Program is that, yes, it is housed in the College of Education and Human Development. But with the support of our Dean Anderson has made it very clear that just as we are super invested in, utilizing the Temple Education Scholars as a program, as a pipeline for students interested in majoring in education and pursuing careers in education, he's just as excited for students who come into the program and then pursue other majors as well. So given that, I'd like to ask a couple of folks just to share a little bit about navigating the college application program, and specifically for folks who decided that education was the pathway for them, and then talk a little bit to folks who decided, actually, after being in TES, I want to continue my education at Temple. So let's start first with those who are majoring in education. Can you tell us a little bit about your college application process and kind of what drew you to major in education?
For me, the college application process was very interesting because I'm always on go. So as soon as it was like, oh, you can apply to college, I was like, okay, cool. Now we have to find ones that actually have both of my majors. So it was very interesting. I did apply to Temple and I applied to a lot of other colleges. I think I applied to like 13. And most of them are state schools. But using the college application process was helpful to have other people weigh in, because if it was up to me, I probably would have just applied anywhere and would not have really looked into it. But they helped me very narrow into what I was applying for. Mm-hmm. And the coming in with the college credits, especially as an education major, was very helpful. Even now it is. I'm a double major, so I don't, it's not gonna make me necessarily graduate early, especially because I also picked up a minor. But I am at a level where I was able to take more major like classes my freshman year. And that allowed me to learn how to do some things earlier, like lesson planning, whereas there are other students that are regular students that didn't have my opportunities who are just now writing a lesson plan for the first time, either as a sophomore or junior. And it's very confusing for the first time. So I'm glad that I was able to have the support I had from TES for my education major.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you.
So when it comes to like college application, I feel like my high school did not really prepare me for anything for applying to college. I did not even know what was Common App back then until like a mentor in TS showed me and how to apply to college. And she also like showed me how to write like essay, personal statement, and how to apply for financial aid. That was like really important for me. And so that's how TS like navigated me for the college pathway. And so why I decided to major in education. So actually, I wanted to be an educator before I wanted to be a pharmacist. So like when I told my parents, like I want to be a teacher, I just like no, don't be a teacher. Just like they just wanted me to do something fancy or like doctors or pharmacist or something. And somehow I experienced a day working as a factory worker, a job that I don't like at all. And 5 minutes, like it was just like 5 hours. And after that day, I told myself and I told my parents, no, I cannot work a job that I don't like for the rest of my life. And that's how I wanted to be a teacher. I have been wanting to be a teacher.
Thank you so much. I think one of the things that's important to share about Tommy and Deja's college choice process is that it was kind of right in the heart of the COVID-19 pandemic. So Deja was making decisions around which institution to go to at the beginning of the pandemic, and Tommy was navigating the application process at a point where we were working virtually. It was not clear what kind of college experience he would start. And so having opportunities to kind of talk through that uncertainty and work with our tutor counselors and work with one another in the program was really instrumental in creating some of that community space to just kind of share those uncertainties that were not kind of available in the same kind of way, given that we were in a global pandemic. For folks who decided to stay at Temple, can we get a couple of thoughts around what was that transition like? You spent a year as a TES scholar, and then you transitioned to a full-time study at Temple. What was that transition like for you?
I can go. Like I said, like the workload, I keep reiterating this, but the workload was as if I was a real college student. So it was super easy to transition from high school to college through this program. And I felt so comfortable, and my mentors and Dr. Curci and everyone who worked there became a family. So it's like, you want to kind of be where your family is. So, and I love Temple, and I'm thinking about going to law school here after I graduate.
Okay, excellent. And I'm sure it's also those little things, right? Like knowing which food truck to go to and kind of knowing the distance between.
They have good food spots on campus.
And just being familiar with how to navigate things kind of before starting gives you that extra confidence, right? That sense of, I'm a student just like anyone else.
Yeah, and I knew where all the classes were and everything. So it just like, it wasn't no pressure.
Excellent. So I think we want to talk now about persistence and really how things have been and how you've been navigating your expectations for your major and things in the midst of the pandemic. So I'll transition.
So everyone's heard me bragging on these students. They're fantastic, and I'm just so impressed with them. And, I think even still now, thinking about, I don't know how I would have reacted as a college student myself with all that you all have had to deal with through this pandemic and navigating college through the pandemic. So would you share some, bring us inside a little bit as to what have been the challenges that you've experienced during this pandemic? And I mean, you've persisted, you're still in school, you're still moving forward when there would have been a lot of reasons to perhaps pause on things. So, what have been the challenges, and then what's kept you going?
So for me, COVID was crazy. I'm Latina, so I come from like a Latinx background, multi-generational household, and being back in my house after a year of being like by myself, independent, getting to do what I want when I want to do it, going back into that household was so, like, I love my family, but it was horrible. Like, I could not stand having to get up, make breakfast for my siblings, make sure they have all their work done, just for me to get my work done, and for it to happen like every single day for a year and a half. No, it was horrible. And now I'm so happy that we're back on campus now. But at the beginning, I just tried to be optimistic, try and get all my stuff done, but it just like continued for so long that at the end I was kind of like exhausted. But now being back on campus is giving me like re-motivation to keep going, especially because I'm a junior, like I'm almost done. So yeah.
Thanks for sharing, Angelina.
COVID for me was interesting. It was very mixed. Because it was weird. I have special circumstances because I remember when we first found out we were going virtual, we had just come back from spring break, and then we had a week of uncertainty as we were trying to figure out, will we go virtual? Will we stay here? I had just went back to my school at high school as well because I had had a surgery that year. And I didn't know what was going on. So we went back to school for that week. We didn't know what was going on. And then at the end of the week, they decided we were going virtual. So we never went back in. We didn't really get to say goodbye to everybody or anything. We finished out our classes virtual, and they were actually okay. And then we had a all virtual class, which was very interesting because it was a lot of textbook work instead of the field experience that we would have had. Westchester, when I went here, I was all virtual here. We were supposed to go back, and then they're like, a week before the semester starts, they're like, oh, by the way, we're not coming back. I was like, oh, you mean I have to stay here? Living with life with my family, I think we actually grew closer, but at the same time, when I was done, I was like, I don't want to see you guys for like another 3 months. It was virtual. It allowed me at Westchester to take a lot of classes. So I took like 6 classes second semester. I took a winter class and a summer class. And then I'm taking 6 classes now. So virtual was like helpful because I could take more of a credit load. However, the transition back from what was last year being virtual the whole time to now being in person again has not been fun. The professors don't really know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. When we first got back here, we didn't have any hybrid options or anything. We just had in-person classes, and we're exposed to a whole bunch of new elements. So it's like the campus right now, there's a sickness going around. So people are getting sick, but they're not getting COVID. So it's like, we're not going home or anything, but it's very like scary. And then navigating how to actually be an on-campus student is different, because before I could schedule a whole bunch of classes back to back because I didn't have to worry about travel time, but now I have to worry about travel time. So it's like, I can't do as much as I could have when I was virtual. So all that is it's a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving a taste of that. I mean, it sounds like a lot, and it's really incredible that you persisted and utilized the skills and resources to be able to continue with your studies. So this is a question again for everybody looking ahead and just thinking about the experience you've had as a college student thus far. What do you think colleges are doing well in terms of support for students? What do colleges need to do better in order to fully support students? And I think you all bring different perspectives to this, and some of you have shared whether you're a first generation college student, you identify as Black or Latina. So, you can share from whatever perspective you want to bring, but I'm really interested in what's going well and where there really is need for change.
I can go. I'm not sure if everyone has Campus, like every college has Canvas, but Canvas helps me keep track of my assignments and my grades, as well as office hours. That gives me time to talk to my professors as well, and Handshake. As I'm applying for internships, Handshake has molded me and it has helped me with my resumes as well as interviews. So I'm not sure if that's just Temple based and if other colleges do it, but those are things that the colleges are doing well.
So the learning management system, which at Temple we have is Canvas, and then the kinds of opportunities and software tools around pursuing opportunities for life outside of coursework. So whether your internship for while you're a current student or maybe future employment. Great, thanks.
Here we have D2L, which is not as helpful. It's very confusing, especially because I'm used to using Canvas. But we do have Handshake, and Handshake is very helpful when it comes to applying for internships and jobs either on campus or off. There's a mixture of both. And then we also utilize something called Quad Jobs, which allows us to have other outside opportunities as well. So yeah.
Deja, what do you think colleges are doing well? What do you think is going well for you as a student, and what are some of the pain points?
Right now, going well. I think that they're doing their best to maintain normal life as a student while still being through a pandemic. There are mask stations everywhere. There's on-campus testing. I think that aspect of college is doing well, and the professors being able to quickly switch if they need to a virtual setting is also helpful, because I was sick previously and I was able to come to class still because I was able to utilize the virtual option of it. So I think that colleges are doing that well.
I think some of this, really kind of connects to those larger questions around the ways that institutions are attentive to kind of the everyday ways that students need to navigate different campuses and different experiences. So thinking about how easy it is to make those schedule adjustments, how easy it is to, access resources like COVID-19 testing, the different level of access to our faculty who may now have, you are now using venues like Canvas and other Zoom features to be more accessible than trying to kind of meet them on campus. It really speaks to the larger kind of concerns around just kind of the structural barriers that are there for higher education. And while we can't anticipate everything that's going to happen going forward, what we try to kind of intentionally infuse in the Temple Education Scholars Program by reaching out to our alumni is kind of thinking about and then really sharing those strategies for navigating these different kind of potential barriers for our students, so they have another layer of information to guard them as they move forward. Thank you so much for sharing those examples.
So I think at this point, we would love to open it up to those of you in attendance. Again, thank you so much for joining us and hearing about the work that we're doing in the College of Ed and Human Development. Huge thank you to our student panelists. Jennifer and I, as well as our students, are very happy to field some questions at this point. So feel free to come off mute. I think we're a small enough group that people should feel free to jump in.
I'll ask a quick question.
Sure.
Pamela, thank you so very much. It was nice to hear your insights. I wonder what you might say to someone who is considering doing one of these programs.
Anyone want to respond? What would you tell a current, I guess, high school junior who's looking to apply for TES for next year? What might you say in terms of whether the opportunity is one that they should consider? Anybody want to answer that?
I would definitely tell them to participate in the program because there's so much that they can learn from it and so much that they can gain from it. Not just as like a high school student, but as like, even if you're not even gonna go to, I mean, you should go to college if you're gonna take this program because you're getting 15 credits anyways, but just the time management skills that you learn, the like people skills that you learn. Like my mentor helped me so much through everything. And the program coordinator, Sam, she's not with the program anymore, but she was so helpful too. Everybody it came together as a community to help each other out. And it's like an experience you can't get anywhere else. So that's what I would tell them about.
So I think I would tell them like this program is not only for people wanting to be an educator, but for people wanting to go to college, because you have a chance to get to know college courses, the real college courses, not AP courses, and get to know the way that professors, the way that they operate classrooms, and how you can manage your time to handle your workload effectively at college. And yeah.
I actually have a two-part question, one for the student panelists and one to my colleagues. First and foremost, thank you everyone for your insights and your reflections on your experiences. It was certainly wonderful to hear from each of the students about your experiences both in the program and now, currently. My first question for the students would be, what is one thing that you found surprising about your college experience thus far that you weren't expecting, and maybe one or two of you or all of you found something different about your college experience thus far that you never expected, whether positive, maybe less positive? What was something you didn't expect? And then if I may ask my second question for Doctors Curci and Johnson, but let's start with a student question.
The one thing that was surprising for me is the the amount of time it takes to really plan out your schedule, because I had my schedule plans, but I wasn't scheduling until this past Tuesday, and I had it planned before that, and then like 3 of my classes got waitlisted. So then I had to go and replan my whole next year's schedule again to make sure I got into the classes that I needed to continue. It was very hard trying to figure out what classes to take and what I didn't need to take. Scheduling is crazy.
Yeah.
You are so right. It is really hard to navigate.
Particularly if you're still exploring your academic interest, it can be really challenging to navigate the options available to you. So I'm glad you were able to navigate it and get a schedule that works for you. And for my colleagues, Dr. Curci and Dr. Johnson, and because there's so many graduate students who are either graduates of our program or current graduate students in our master's and doctoral programs, I would love your recommendations for future research in this area. What might sort of the future hold, and what might that look like? And what new questions have sort of emerged from the work that you've done that you will continue to explore in the future?
That's a great question. And we've had a bunch of things pop up just sort of at random points in time as we're talking about programming over the last couple of months. I know, we are certainly interested in additional information about persistence for students in terms of their continued trajectories through their collegiate experiences, and then what that means for their careers. We're currently exploring a collaboration with the Center for Black Educator Development, where our 4th cohort of scholars is engaged in some very specific programming around kind of getting grounded in the context of education in Philadelphia, the history of education in Philadelphia, the history of Black educators in Philadelphia. And so trying to understand if by exposing students to that kind of curriculum and programming, and then incorporating a field experience into the 2nd semester of the program in spring, like if that might actually shift some people's thinking about their career trajectories or their college major decisions. So that's an area for research for us. Dr. Johnson, what do you have on mind?
We have 2 peer-reviewed publications that talk about the early outcomes from our first cohort of participants in TES that are coming out soon. I mean, soon in terms of academic terms, which is like in 6 months. And so there'll be an opportunity to kind of share with a broader audience the specific kind of nuances of the program components, so that it's not just researchers who are learning about this dual enrollment opportunity, but we can think of this program as a particular model of dual enrollment that can be replicated. So we do hope to be able to share widely with other practitioners, other institutions of higher education who might be looking to have a similar type of model to promote opportunities for students. Additionally, we are looking to re-engage our alumni to help us with recruiting for the future cohorts of TES. We also have opportunities for graduate students interested in this work to work as a part of the research team that I lead that focuses on different aspects of understanding the experience. And so our contact information is here for those who are interested in those opportunities. But broadly, we just want to make sure that folks know the good work that we're doing in the college. It is, central to the mission that we have as an institution of higher education and as a college to promote these types of opportunities. It would not be possible without the support of the school district, our expanding partners with other entities, as well as the college to support. And so we do hope to kind of expand that network and make sure that there are more champions and advocates for this work.
Thanks, Jennifer. And I'll just add that we would love to have you involved. We'd love to bring you in as a potential guest speaker or mentor for our students. We need your help in ensuring that this program can be sustained, to be able to consistently have students come into new cohorts and potentially expand the cohort. We've been able to build out the work of the college around this type of initiative, college access and persistence, again, based on things that we've learned and taking advantage of the opportunities that virtual instruction has evolved. So we have dual enrollment opportunities. So we would love to engage with in contract with more districts across the Commonwealth, across the Delaware Valley region, where we can bring students in virtually, if not in person, to take college coursework with us in education. We have a fantastic suite of general education courses in the college, so that they not only could spark students' interest in different professions within education, but give people a nice background in education to go into a myriad of professions through the gen ed courses. We would love to know who you know that has the possibility of financially supporting us. So again, we can sustain the program and expand it to serve more students. We'd love your feedback to hear more about how we can better recruit students into our program. Something that I dropped in the chat offers a bit of a look as to all the different ways we've extended ourselves. We're providing leadership at the state level with the Pennsylvania Educator Diversity Consortium and convening stakeholders from across the Commonwealth about how we recruit and retain people of color for teaching. TES is one particular way in which we strive to do that at Temple, but there's a lot more we need to do. And I think our students will tell us that we need to start having these conversations with students in much earlier grades. It's not just when they're juniors in high school trying to recruit them into this program, that the conversation about the possibilities of teaching should be raised with them. So there are a lot of ways that we could use your help. In the document I dropped, I'm specifically asking about the possibility of you serving as a champion So again, connecting us to people that you think will be great for our network in order to share more about what we're doing, to raise the visibility of this work at the college with external audiences. And again, for feedback. So if you'd like to be part of the work that we do and weigh in and provide feedback based on your professional knowledge and experience, we'd love to have your support in that way too. We're really grateful for you sharing this hour with us. We're so thankful for our students who are coming back, returning to us, and thank them for their time and their insights. And we hope we get to see you around soon. So with that, I'll turn it back to Derek.
Thank you, Juliet. Thank you to you, Dr. Johnson, and all the students for a really wonderful presentation. I neglected to mention in my introduction who I am. Speaking of supporting this program, I'm the major gift officer for the College of Education. So to support programs like these, I mean, it is a true joy. It makes me love what I do to be able to go out and find donors to support this program, to support scholarships for students who end up matriculating here at Temple. So yes, do please send anyone my way if you know if they want to support this or any of our programs here. A copy of tonight's presentation will be posted on our alumni webpage, education.temple.edu/alumni. And I hope to see all of you at our next hour on Thursday, November 18th from 5 to 6 p.m. When Psychological Studies and Education Professor Joel Schneider will share IQ and the death penalty, which will explore his role as an expert witness in a Supreme Court case. That sounds exciting. So with that, without further ado, thank you all again for the presentation, and thank you for everybody who decided to attend tonight. Have a wonderful evening. Take care.